again everyone, this is Ghassani from Sage and Sound, and in this video I'm going to be talking more about how to make better decisions, as this is going to be part 2 of the series. So after deciding what problem you want to solve with the decision that you're going to make, the next question to ask ourselves is, why do you want the thing that you want? And this can help us clarify our values, because to get the best outcomes of our decisions, we also need to understand what our values are. And this is important because when we evaluate the outcomes of our decisions, we assess it based on our personal values. So you might get an outcome that can be seen objectively great, but if it doesn't align with your personal values, it can still feel like it wasn't a great outcome. A great example of this is when people choose to settle for a career that pays a good amount of money but doesn't necessarily make them feel fulfilled. For these people, sometimes they actually value personal fulfillment more than money. So when they choose this career, it might seem objectively great, right? Because they get a lot of money, but it might not feel as good because it doesn't necessarily align to their values. So this is why, again, understanding our values is really, really important to make better decisions. So to clarify our values, we need to understand 4 things. What are our wants, our needs, our likes, and our dislikes? And this might be a little bit hard to answer, but if this is a bit too difficult, you can start off with the easiest one, your dislikes. Most people are quite clear with the things that they clearly do not want. So we can start off with, all right, what are the things that I can sacrifice? And then we can sort of work our way up towards what are the things that I value the most. So once you kind of have a bit of an idea of what your values are, this is another important thing, is that some values may be non-negotiable, no matter what, but some of your values may actually change depending on your situation. For example, I don't know if you remember when we were like teenagers, I think most of us value friendship or social status a lot more, but then as we became adults, it becomes less and less important in our list of values. So making sure that you keep reassessing your values, rechecking with yourself, because as you go through different stages of life or go through different situations, your values can change, and that's okay. And then when we understand what our values are, it can make it a lot easier for us to generate alternatives, which is the next important step in making decisions. When generating alternatives, I think a lot of people often get caught up in trying to generate and analyze alternatives all at the same time. But these two are very different processes, so it is important to separate the process as well. When you are faced with a difficult decision, often we can get trapped between 2 choices. It's, one of them is a little bit easier, one of them is a little bit harder. But limiting ourselves to just those 2 decisions can limit the possibilities of outcomes, because maybe there are other alternatives that we haven't thought of. So this is actually important to spend some time to brainstorm your list of options. This is the fun part, right? You can generate as many alternatives as you possibly can. And the most important tip in this phase is to not judge the alternatives that you come up with. Oftentimes we come up with a great alternative, but it might seem a bit too far out that we sort of judge it, this is never going to happen, and this is impossible. And it limits us from actually generating good alternatives. So after you've exhausted your alternatives and you've generated as many alternatives as you possibly can, it is time to pick a few of these alternatives that you want to truly analyze and spend some time researching and see if you can build upon this idea. After that, we can ask ourselves 3 questions just for a bit of a reality test. So number 1, is this alternative going to get me what I want? And this is important because, again, we need to relate it back to our values. And then number 2, is this reasonable? So again, in that process of analyzing and expanding on this alternative, do you think it is realistic and this is actually doable? And then number 3, would you actually do it? And this is also important, because if you answer no to at least one of these questions, then maybe this is not the alternative to take. If that's the case, that's okay. We can sort of look through the other alternatives that we've generated before and see if the other alternatives can pass the reality test. So this is why this whole process is really important, so you can come to a decision that not only aligns with your values, but is also actionable and doable, and gets you to do what you actually are willing to do. Hopefully this video has been helpful just to help you make better decisions, but stay tuned because we are coming back with part 3 of the how to make better decision video. And don't forget, if you'd like to learn more about how to make better decisions and you'd like to learn it in a way that is more personal and is suited for you and your situation, you can book an appointment with myself on our website at www.sageandsound.com.au. We hope to see you again next time. Bye!